Episode 14 is going to be about the motor and the transmission, but I wanted to kind of show you what we're doing with the front clip. So we're painting it. Nice to see it in one color. Again, guys, this is a realistic build. It's not one of those high-end, expensive builds. My goal is to get this Bronco on the road again. It's a 1975. On the road again, almost 50 years. Safe, fun, reliable, and good looking. That's the goal. Alright, folks. Different day. I think we're at episode 14 now. Yeah. I mean, it is going by quick, and by me keeping these videos short, I think the more I make it and the more I post it, it's the same thing as having a long video, but you just see the progress every week, like twice or three times a week, right? I try to work on the Bronco every single day, depending on my schedule, depending on what's going on as far as, family and things like that. But I try to put at least, 4 or 5 hours, even sometimes longer, on the Bronco just to get it moving. So the current status that it's in, painted the front clip and painted the bed with bed liner. Now, why do I use bed liner and not, just paint it with paint? One is that it's a utility vehicle that I use, same as my red Bronco. I use it all the time. Get sand in it, get it wet, do all those things. So I wanted it to be utilitarian and to be used, right? There's such a feeling of having a classic car on the road, running and driving it all the time, not a garage queen. I don't mind garage queens. I know people pay a lot of money to have garage queens, like drive it only to the show and even trailer to shows, but this is not that kind of build, guys. This build is, utilitarian type, right? Anyways, the truck bed coating I'm using, I'm not being paid by the company to say it, but it's the Rust-Oleum one that you buy from Walmart. And what I discovered about this is that this thing gets really hard and kind of seals whatever dirt, rust that's already existing. Again, you can't really take the rust all the way off unless you replace the panel with a rust-free panel. But that's another way to seal it in and extend its life, right? And why do I use Rust-Oleum or PR15? I've used it before. Based on experience, it's really, really good and it works. And that's the reason why I use it. Now, again, they don't pay me to say that. And this is also a recommendation only channel. Again, I've said it before, it's a channel in which I do things in hopes that I can influence you to do the same thing. But take your own precautions, you know what I mean? Take your own risk. I'm not forcing you to do anything. Take the best out of everything that I'm saying and then leave the rest, right? That's how it's gonna be, so you enjoy. I'm gonna continue to work on the Bronco today, and what I'm gonna do is I'll focus on the grill and I'm gonna focus on the dash today, just to remove some of the rust and then strengthen the areas that need to be strengthened on the dash and the grill. And then after that, I'll probably move into the suspension, because in preparation of putting the engine and transfer case when I'm ready for it in the frame, right? Let's go. Okay, so working on the grill, and why am I showing you this is because I just want to, share my experiences with building old cars like this. But there are areas in which there's surface rust, and I feel like the areas have weakened, so I'm just going to remove that and put a new tab there with new holes. You know, treat the back of this to make sure that the rust don't go through. There is surface rust on this thing, but it can be removed. See these? It's just that it's sat for a long time in the junkyard probably, and moisture rain, things like that, destroyed it. So that's how I'm working. Now the dash, if you're wondering where I get the inspiration to change what I need to change on the dash, well, I get it from, of course, my red Bronco and previous Broncos I've had before that. That one has aftermarket gauges in the dash. I'm planning on keeping this as stock as possible, so I'm going to delete some of the things that I don't need anymore, like the fans and blowers, choke, things like that. I'm just gonna close this up. Radio, I'm not gonna use any radio. I'm gonna use 3 things in this when I get it, 3 or 4 things, right? So you have your ignition. We're gonna do the ignition. We're gonna do the lights. This is the oil light that comes on and off. We're going to do the wipers and the headlights. Those are the buttons that's going to be maintained here. I'm going to keep this, the cigarette lighter thing, because I think that's pretty cool. I'm going to keep the grill for the speakers, even though I'm not going to run any speakers. Of course, I'm going to keep the stock glove box, but modify it to fit the new wiring system that I'm going to put. This is where the fuse box is going to be. So that's my plan for that. This is where the steering column comes through, and this is where the big speedometer, oil lamp, the oil, all of those gauges that are combined in one. That Ford did that back in the 60s and 70s. This is where it's going. This is for the fuse for the dual tank, which I'm keeping, and then remove the rust, treat it, and it's ready to be painted. So that's what I'm doing today. Old dash from the red Bronco, but the setup is different. These things are different because this has a choke, and I guess the 75 that I have over there, because it's fully loaded, it doesn't have a choke, push and pull. It has electronic choke, so I'm gonna leave that good. And besides, here is the that's where it came from. It says lights and wipe wash. So perfect. Lights, wipe wash, ignition, oil light, cover the rest of this stuff. Eliminate hose. Let's do it. One other reason why I don't run a radio on my Broncos is because I don't really travel that far on an island, and besides, my music is the sound of the Bronco, you know what I mean? So there's really no need, for me anyways, you can do whatever you want to do. There is no need for having a stereo. That's why I'm deleting this. Now, if I have an original Bronco with the original Ford issued stereo system, then I would probably keep it. I don't think I've ever had any of my Broncos, and I've had a few in the past, ever had the stereo system, with the exception of one Bronco had a stereo system. Yeah. I won't like that. Well, tack welded the pieces and plugged the holes, so now it's time to grind it smooth. Now you can't go crazy because of the heat, right? It kind of twists this whole thing if you go crazy with the heat. So whether you're, I mean, this is just my opinion, you can do whatever you want to do, but if you're working on metal, please be careful not to ruin the original piece, because of overheating, and sometimes rusty things are harder to weld on. Anyway, I'm rambling on that one. So check this out though, right? This is a 120, which I'll probably do a finishing touch on that, and this is a 40, but I've been using the 40 like crazy. You can see that it's worn out. It's supposed to be this big. Anyway, let's grind it and see where it's at, and it looks good. Then it's ready for body work. Quick update, folks. Check this out. Yes, the grill is clean, rust is off, and I don't know about you guys, but I treat rust with this Rust-Oleum product that inhibits rust and removes rust, and I'll show you the bottle here pretty soon. No secret, right? You can buy that from like Ace or O'Reilly's or some places like that. And what it does is it literally transforms the rust to a hard surface that you can paint. And this one is still drying, but you can tell that it's darker where the rust is. And that's, after that, it'll be ready to be painted. So I'm just kind of drying it out. But see, this grill, it's hard to remove rust and using a sander to remove that. So I have a little trick that I've been using for something like this, and I'll show you here in a minute as well. No secrets. And this is the dash. I think that it looks good, ready for a little bit of Bondo to straighten it out and then paint, and that's good to go. So check this out, right? This is my sandblaster setup. It's a pressure washer with this hose right here that sucks literally sand from that bucket, and using the water pressure and that sand, it removes all kinds of gunk. I mean, I could have probably went ahead and removed all of the paint, but that's not necessary. This is a little bit of body work, prime, even things out, and the paint work will be nice, right? So here's what I use as far as rust dissolver is concerned, and let me show you this real quick. Right here, you can see Rust-Oleum rust dissolver. You can buy that from Ace hardware store or O'Reilly's, and it works really good, guys. Moving along, that's good enough for today. I have to work on getting my generator running. Carburetor is broken, so I'm gonna rebuild that and get that running today, but done. I went cruising with my Bronco today as well, so squeezing it all in.